folks, Jonathan here. I've been spending a couple days doing some major cleanup on my storage lot, moving cars around and a bunch of work. So just some stuff I've got to get caught up on. I don't really have a choice, so I haven't got anything done on this thing. But I'm going to go ahead and try to get something done. I'm going to try to get my control arms mounted. We'll do some measurements until I can figure out exactly where I want to bolt them at and go from there. I got to keep telling myself that this is not a competition with anybody, so I just want to use the parts I've got. I don't want to worry too much about if I change a little bit, it might be, you know, a tenth of a second faster or something like that. This is just a project build, and I don't want to put any more time into it than what I'm doing. So I'm going to get at that. Go ahead and try to maybe get something done. I've got to bore the holes through the frame. I got to turn out bushings to go in it, and then I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll maybe get them welded in. Okay folks, I had to order a bit from my mag drill to be able to drill them holes, so I've got to wait a few days, but I did go ahead and get these drilled. Got my U-bolts in and got them on, so then we're going to work out really good. Now this is 3.5 inches inside, and my rear end's only about a little over 3, so we're going to make a sleeve that goes around the rear to tighten up good, which is not a problem. We just take a piece of flat and bend it around it and tack it on. Won't be an issue there. So we're going to keep on this suspension front end, rear, and see if we can get something knocked out here. Alright, show you more. Okay, I got one bushing slid in. It's not welded in or anything yet, but here's our bolt. Goes through grade 8, and then I'm going to come off of here with a plate, and the bolt will go through the other end of it, and then I may plate the top of it, strengthen it up a little bit. Anyway, that's where we're at now. I'll show you some more bushings I got to make. Okay, evidently this is a 1 inch, and it's countersink in. It's got a pivot. This one, now this is a match set of what they used in NASCAR, but this one's just got a 3/4 hole. The bushing's inside of rubber. So what we're going to do is, and that's stiff, but we've got to make a split bushing that goes in each end of this. Take that steps up so it don't slide back and forth, but brings it out to the same width, which is 2.5 inches. We'll get to making that now. Here's what we're using to make it. It's just an old rusty piece of steel. So we'll get it turned out and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here's what we made for bushings. Got the other one in there and just went halfway, the way it will tighten down good, and flips in. Should do real good. Okay folks, we've got this one in, just temporary. Got it set up, just running back, and I've got the bushing made for this one. Got it slid in. Haven't welded it, haven't welded the other side yet either, but as you can see, it's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this one on. We're just going to set the rear end into where it needs to be and just take a look at it, see what it looks like. Okay folks, just wanted to show you where we stand here. Got both arms sitting on, got the rear end up in here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The radius on this is different than the radius on this, so we're going to plate that, probably a 1/4 inch plate, just part of the way around, maybe halfway or less, and that will help that saddle grab in there good. And that's actually the same size that they used in NASCAR, and of course evidently they use either a 3.5 inch tube on the rear ends, or they use a what I'm going to do. So it does not matter. It adds a little weight, but we're all right on that. But brackets are good. Now, like I said, the last thing I'm going to do is weld these. You can see where we ended up. We're about a 1/4 inch from the end. About a 1/4 inch from the end, both sides. And like I said, I offset this, so if you look at the distance here to here compared to the distance from here to here, there's an inch less over here because I moved our axle over 1 inch to line this up. And I did hear somebody say, well, it was designed that way to keep the U-joints from going bad and all this. We're not putting 100,000 miles on this. I'm not worried about longevity. I'm more worried about actual strength, and it's going to be stronger in a straight line. All right, let me see. I've got to finish cutting all this off and get it lowered down. But here's my plan. This is what I'm trying to do. Trying to get everything mocked up, and I'm working on my rims now, and it looks like believe it or not, we're going to be really close on this 3.5-inch backspacing, which was the rims I could have ordered. But you know, this is still a lot cheaper, a little more work, but we're going to be awfully close to it. But I can set these exactly what I want them. And let me see, I checked the tires. Luckily we got the tires on rims and aired up, so I was able to see that we've got, let me get my tape measure here. The tires bulge out 1 inch, let me see, a little less than an inch actually, and I've checked both sides and all that to make sure, and didn't want to take any chances on that. And that way, you know, if we screw our backspacing up and our clearance and we've got our tires rubbing on here, or we don't get them close enough, they'll be rubbing on the body. So I'm going to be really close on putting this stuff in here on that little car, but we're doing the best we can do anyway. So I've got one center turned down and got it in there. Like I said, it's going to be close to 3.5 inch. I don't have it welded in, I've just got it pressed in there, and just turned it to where it just slid in. What I'm going to do on these, I'm not going to set them up on the lathe and turn them and dial indicate them in. I'm actually going to get the studs in, get the lug nuts on, you know, tighten the bearings up so there's no play, and I'll set them up on here, and I'll run a dial indicator off the frame, and then I'll actually dial indicate them rims in and tack them with them on the rear end. And you know then that it's going to be right when it's tightened down on the hub, in comparison to, you can chuck it in the lathe and it may, but it may not come out like you want it. So I want it to be right. So that's why we're going to do it that way. Sort of the same way I do drive shafts. You know, you just, you know, stick your dial indicator on, turn it, and once you get it completely zeroed in, you know, we'll be able to turn from this surface. I don't like the outer surface. There's little rough spots anyway, but we can get in there and turn, or we can go in here and turn on the other side, of course. But looks like we're going to have plenty of room for our brakes, as much as we could ask for anyway. We'll be able to slide them in there, and I may do some change on them rotors. And somebody actually mentioned it, and I already had it on my mind to actually, well, I'll show you. Okay, here's our rotors, and they're really heavy. So what I may do is do away with this outside completely. Cut these out, machine this one, and just go with a different caliper that was just made to run a thin rotor. And you know, there's plenty of vehicles out there that run just a single rotor instead of having the double. We're not stopping a 10,000 pound truck, which is what these was on. We're stopping a 2,000 pound car, so I don't see it as being an issue. These are going to work out fine. I'm going to have to either bore the hole here or turn the hub down. And if I modify these, I'll probably just bore the hole out, because you've already modified them anyway, so it don't matter. They're really close. I mean, they're probably within 50-60 thousandths of fitting, or fitting. But that should work out. I'll lose a lot of weight off these. And I think I explained before, these come off an ambulance, 1-ton ambulance. Did not realize that when they replace the brake pads on an ambulance, they automatically replace the rotors. They don't turn them, they don't even attempt to, and they just replace them. And I guess I understand that. That's pretty important to keep an ambulance up good and rolling. We can't do that in the wrecker business, but I guess when you're spending taxpayers' money, you can do about it whatever you want to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is get the rims straightened out, get them done, get the tires off, get them over onto these rims once we get them all done and welded. Got to drill a hole. I don't know if I can run these tubeless or not. I have no clue. They got tubes in them. I'm lost on that. These are 2-piece rims. That could be why they ran tubes. They unbolt in the center. Not for sure. We're going to find out. Shouldn't be a problem to search that on the internet. And also, let me see. I don't see where it says. Just Dragway Specials, made in Chile. But I mean, pretty good tires. But he's got 10 pounds in them now. He told me that that's what he done for storage. and he said to run 8 in them. I mean, to run 4 in them when you're racing or when you're, you know, testing or whatever. That's a good starting point, is what he said. So not for highway use. Well, we'll have to see about that. Anyway, we're going to get these onto here. If we can run tubeless, I got to pick up some metal valve stems. That's one of the rules in NHRA. I mean, it's not, I don't even know what speed division or whatever, but the point is even if it wouldn't affect me, I'm still going to do it, and that way I don't have to worry about whether it affects me or not. So we'll do that. I want to get them on here, get everything mocked up, mounted, and same way at the front end. And then I want to drop this on the ground. I'll put a jack under it. I'll be able to get my ride height where I want it. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the rear body, bring it in here. I'll cut it out to where, cut the fender wells out to where we can actually sit the rear body down on it. And that'll you know, give us our ideas and plans on how we're going to do this. And shouldn't be too bad, should go on pretty easy, just got to slice some pieces out. And so that's where we're at right this minute, and I'm still moving along on it. Got to cut this other center and get the other rim ready, and we'll figure out our offset. But like I said, it's going to be somewhere around the 3.5, which, you know, that's what I could have bought, believe it or not. That's close to 3.5 where I've got it sitting at. And I don't have it straight in there. I've just got it tapped in there with a hammer. So yeah, that's actually right on 3.5 right there. Back spacing. So yeah, that's a shame, because I probably could have worked out with them wheels and just bought them, but like I said, there's too much of a chance. And I may be, you know, even if I have to move a 1/4 inch off of that back spacing to be able to clear the body, you know, or help clear the body, that's going to be well worth building the rims instead of buying. So anyway, I want to show you where it was and where we're at, and I'm going to keep working on it, and I'll show you some more as we go. Finally got, you know, like I said, all the bushings made and everything so far for that. I'm not going to worry about this plate yet. Eventually we will. Don't know how this is going to work out with the pivot being in front of the drive shaft yoke. It's really not going to matter. I mean, you know, some people might think, well, you know, you can't do that, but I've seen them everywhere. I've seen them from, you know, way back behind to way up in front. I can tell you this: the longer the control arm you got, the less pinion angle change you have. So if we was pivoting from here, you know, when the rear end moves up and down, the pinion angle is going to change a lot more than if you have it from here. As long as these bars are, they should be plenty strong enough, and as long as they are, we shouldn't have any issues, you know, with any kind of pinion angle. Once we get it set and in, it's not going to change, you know, a degree or more up and down just by movement. And you know, we're not going to have a lot of travel in the rear suspension. It's going to be pretty stiff. And let me see, this is where the coil's mounted originally. We're not mounting coils. We're going to end up mounting the coilovers. They're going to be on the back side. Probably going to use the coilovers I got, but I made a trade for something. It's actually a little homemade car that a college made and had a Harley Davidson engine on, and I think it's got 12-inch racing wheels, and it's got disc brakes all the way around. Got coilovers on the front and rear. It's got some steering components and stuff I need. So I actually got it because I needed some of the parts off of it. I made a trade for that thing, and I will tell you how much I got in it, but I'm not going to tell you yet until the trade's done. But it was well worth it, because you know, the parts I'd have to buy that this has got on it I'm going to be able to use would cost more than that. So, you know, I have my steering wheel, I have my quick release for my you know, take steering wheel on and off. You know, I have the, you know, parts for that, and parts for the steering, and we'll just strip it out. May use some of the cage off of it, I don't know. Anyway, all right, let me keep at it here.